she's using the map of Africa and you're using the map of the USA, there's going to be a clash. Hey loves, welcome back again to my YouTube channel. My name is Valerie, and if this is your first time on this channel, you are welcome. And if you're a returning subscriber, hey love, what's up? So I know that I am not one to usually talk about like trending topics or things that are going around on the internet, but after watching this blue therapy by Trend Center that has sort of been going around, I thought that it was so important for me to make a video about the 10 lessons I sort of picked up from watching that video. If you have not seen it, I will just link it right up here. You can go and check it out. So there are two couples and a therapist, and they're talking about their relationships. And I personally believe in learning from other people's experiences. I don't believe that you have to experience every single thing for yourself, especially when someone else has done the hard work for you. So without talking too much, let's get right into this video. So the first lesson that was sort of obvious from like watching the two couples and the banter that was going on all through the show was that everyone needs therapy. I know that in this part of the world, in Nigeria especially where I live, therapy is often looked down upon, is seen as being weak, is seen as having a serious problem. Going to therapy doesn't really mean that you have a problem, but one thing that I've realized is that as we grow, especially as African children, oftentimes there are things that we've picked up along the way, things that from our childhood, things from experiences that we've had, that we haven't really been in positions where we're able to talk about them and reflect and have another person guide us through the way we reacted in order to kind of like understand what was really happening with us at the time. And if you don't address these issues and you end up going into a relationship, you're going to have a lot of issues, because everyone comes into a relationship with their baggage, and as you're doing what you're doing and your partner is also bringing their baggage, it's going to be a clash of baggages. And if you need to work on yourself, especially, there's no better time to start than right now in your 20s. So if you're in the younger audience and you're watching this video, I know that not a lot of information about therapy is available, so I'm going to put a few therapists that I know that are sort of affordable in the description box for any young people who are interested in pursuing therapy. So the second lesson that I learned from blue therapy, or rather kind of like watching, is that you can be in love with someone, you can be in a position where you're absolutely in love, completely available, completely open, completely giving your everything, your resources, everything you own to someone because you love them, and they're still not right for you. They're not right for you not because they are terrible people, but they're not right for you in that moment because they're not paying attention to your needs. So they might love you, but like a relationship definitely needs way more than love. And if you're with someone who cannot pay attention to what your needs are, how do you expect the relationship to survive? I think that's something to think about. We tell ourselves that we really love this person, and because we love them, we're able to change them. But you have to be honest with yourself. You have to be realistic with yourself. And sometimes you can be in something and you're not able to see it because you're inside it. But this is why we sort of like saw that through like those couples going to therapy, because the therapist sort of worked them through having conversations about the issues that they had going on, that one person felt like they had issues and the other person wasn't seeing these issues at all. The third lesson that I learned from blue therapy is avoid a narcissist, and if you can, help them find their way back to being caring enough for you. Now I understand that some women like to build, some women like to groom, some women like to work with you to make you get to a certain point. They stay around hoping, wishing, thinking that they might do things in order to make you change at some point, which is great. But some women on the other hand would rather not do Bob the Builder type work. There's no wrong or right way. Always do what you think is best for you. But if you're with someone who only pays attention to themselves, who only sees themselves, sis, I think you really need to think. You really need to think properly if like you should be doing that at all. Because imagine being completely in love with someone and giving every single thing, giving, doing, and they don't even see any of the work that you're doing because they're so focused on themselves. You're going to burn out, you're going to be weak, and eventually this might even lead to resentment. So if you know that you're someone who craves affection and attention, especially if you're a soft, feminine type female, narcissism or a narcissist situation might not be the best for you. The fourth lesson that I learned was that being a provider is actually a mentality, not a result of your financial capacity. And I'll explain. I think that when people hear the word provider, sometimes they feel like, oh, why, you're saying you want equality, make your own bag and all that stuff. But before you guys drag me, hear me out. I think that being a provider is a situation where, like, if you're in something with a man, he's thinking about your family, he's prioritizing you, he's thinking of ways to care for, to protect, and to provide for his family. So let me explain. Provision isn't only about money. You can provide for your family in terms of like offering resources. You can provide for your family in terms of like seeing that this thing is too much for your wife and you're picking up the slack. It's a mentality. So that's what you should watch out for. I think that men who always tell you that they are providers, I don't know, man, because like you think it's about giving me money, but it's not really about money. It's about how much you're willing to do like for me if I sort of entered a situation with you. Now in terms of like financial capabilities and whatnot, there's situations where like maybe the woman might earn more, maybe the man earns more. That's a whole different story. But just if you are looking for someone, if you've listened or you heard the word provider for the first time and you're thinking that, okay, this is something that I want to look for in a potential partner, I want you to consider looking beyond just financial capabilities. Although I'm not telling you to go and enter situations that you will not be happy in because Valerie said don't look at financial capability. That's not what I'm saying. Please, that's not what I said. The fifth lesson is age is just a number. I know that sometimes you see like really old people dating younger people and we say, oh, age is just a number, it's about maturity in the mind and all that stuff, which is very true. However, you need to understand that people can be in different seasons. So if you're going to be with someone who understands the season that you're in. Is this your building season? Is this your reaping season? Is this your growing season? If you're with a partner who doesn't understand the season that you're in, sis, bro, if I can say that, ladies, there will be clashes because you are not going in the same direction. You're not using the same map. She's using the map of Africa and you're using the map of the USA. There's going to be a clash. So that's something you should consider if you're in a relationship, if you're looking to enter into one. I'm not a relationship expert. I'm just telling you lessons that I sort of picked up and I thought that I should share with you guys, and let's sort of have this conversation and see what you guys think as well. The sixth lesson that I learned is that communication is key, but not just communication is key. Two-way communication is key. because I think that while in therapy or while watching that show especially, I saw people listening but not hearing, and it happens a lot in our everyday lives. You know, you have an issue with this person, you take time out, you pour out your heart, you pour out where you're coming from, and you can see the person physically hearing what you're saying, but they're not listening because what they're responding in response to what you've just said doesn't even address what you just said. So if you're in any situation, any type of relationship, friendships, marriages, business partnership, whatever, just know that while you are hearing, you should also take time to listen and to comprehend. Comprehension is really important, because I think that communication without comprehension will lead to frustration. The seventh lesson that I learned is that it's okay to have expectations of your partner or whoever you're entering into something with, but make sure your expectations are realistic. And when I say realistic, in the sense that you know the person that you're entering into something with. Like, don't enter a situation with Mr. A and then 3 months later you're trying to change Mr. A to Mr. B or C. You know, there's going to be a problem. So that's something to think about. So in a situation where maybe someone does something for you or starts off in a certain way, and you feel like over the course of time they're no longer doing those things anymore, there are ways to communicate that in a matured, in an articulate manner that is not going to make the other person feel less than. I think that oftentimes when we're trying to communicate, especially in a situation where we feel hurt, we feel triggered, we feel a certain way, the first thing we want to do is just like hurt the second person. And it doesn't have to be that way, you know. It really doesn't have to be that way. The 8th lesson that I learned is know what you can cope with and go for it. See, I know that a lot of us are watching this show and we're like, I can never be with this person. I can never be with someone who does that. How is she doing that? How is she? How? Da, 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 da. You have to understand that the fact that you cannot deal with a situation or in a circumstance doesn't mean that another person who is in that circumstance doesn't have the stomach to do with it. So why am I bringing up this lesson? Because sometimes when we see things happening to people and we're trying to make them take decisions that we would normally take, we have to understand that we don't have the entire picture and we're not inside that situation, so we can't really speak about it, you know. The 9th thing that I learned is that you should not shrug emotions aside. So one of the characters, Chioma, I saw that a lot of times she had to push certain feelings that she had about certain situations aside, which like made her hurt a lot. And when she eventually even brought these feelings up to her partner, he was still shrugging them aside. Like, don't do that to people. I think that if we can come from a place where we understand that for another human being to take the time to express their emotions to you, how they are feeling, especially when it's a negative one, it takes a lot of courage. And shrugging or belittling their emotions at that point in time says more about you and how you're not a good person, because someone is being vulnerable and you're using that vulnerability as a weapon in attacking them, and that's not a good thing. The 10th and final lesson that I learned from this therapy session is just be open. If you're in a relationship, any type of relationship, being open is really important. You can't be closed off. People change. You have to know that the flower that you saw 3 days ago is not the same flower you might see in a month, you know. So people change, so just be open to conversations, be open to figuring out new ways to do things, be open to doing things that you're not used to doing, be open to just trying new things. And this is even outside of you being in a relationship or for your partner. It's also for yourself, because when you're open instead of closed up, it helps you grow as a person. So that's it, loves. We've come to the end of this video. I haven't done any video like this before and I am so nervous, and I really would like to know what you guys think. Are these lessons true? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Who are your favorite characters? Do you want me to do more stuff like this? Let me know, and I can't wait to see you guys in my next video. If you haven't seen my previous video on how to always feel rich even when you're broke, click this link to check it out. Until next time, love you guys.